Honorable members, prayers. Almighty God, we humbly beseech thee to look with favor upon this Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. Grant that it may perform its high duty as in thy sight. Give divine guidance to the President of the Republic. Endow members of Parliament and ministers of state with discernment and vision, integrity and courage, that through the labors of government, this land and people may be well and truly served, and thy good purposes for the common human life be realized in our midst. O God, grant us a vision of our country, fair as it might be, a country of righteousness, where none shall wrong his neighbor, a country of plenty, where evil and poverty shall be done away with, a country of brotherhood, where all success shall be founded on service, and honor shall be given to the deserving, a country of peace, where government shall rest on the will of the people and the love for the common good. Bless the efforts of those who struggle to make this vision a living reality. Inspire and strengthen our people, that they may give time, thought, and sacrifice to speed the day of the coming beauty of Ghana and Africa. Amen. Honorable members, with your indulgence, I will defer the other items and let us take item 7, which is dealing with presentation of papers. So, honorable members, at the commencement of public business, items, yes, please.
Speaker, with respect, I just wanted to draw the attention of my colleagues opposite, especially Chief Whip for the Majority Caucus, that in view of the critical nature of the item that you just mentioned, he should endeavor to get his members in the chamber. I'm just drawing his attention. Ensure that we meet the constitutional threshold. I'm not raising it. I'm just drawing his attention to activate his whipping abilities. Because, Mr. Speaker, he can afford to stage the first coup at the committee level. And he has survived that coup. But he may not be too successful in staging a second one. One is the quorum to start proceedings, and then the quorum to take decision. I'm just drawing your attention. I'm a good man. Yeah, indeed, don't worry. There are a lot of empty seats, and Chief Whip, Mr. Speaker, he's done something very bad at the committee level, Mr. Speaker. Very, very bad. Very, very bad. And I don't want you to repeat it here.
Majority Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker, today the Honorable First Deputy Speaker, Chair of the Appointments Committee, led proceedings and same was zoomed to the entire world. Everything went on peacefully. Mr. Speaker, I didn't do anything wrong. I didn't. Nothing. So for the minority leader, Mr. Speaker, to bring me to the floor and assert without basis that I did something by Mr. Speaker, it should be expunged. Mr. Speaker, my constituents are listening. In fact, if anybody is on record to have done something bad at the appointment committee today, it was you. It was you.
Let me listen to the chair of the Appointments Committee.
Mr. Speaker, on record, I'm the chairman for the Appointment Committee, and I presided over proceedings of today. I have not seen any wrongdoing, heard any wrongdoing, or any complaint of wrongdoing on part of the majority chief whip. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm taken by surprise that a minority leader is now complaining at the plenary when I've not heard any complaint at the committee that the majority chief whip was involved in any wrongdoing.
Yes, minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, a lot of things happen at the committee meeting. A lot. And those matters will be raised at the right time. Mr. Speaker, the chair of the committee was reading a draft official report. A draft. When you have warned that nobody should ever rely on a draft official report, he was relying on it to quote you to fortify his submission. He was quoting you, Mr. Speaker. He was quoting you when the report is not official. Mr. Speaker, you recall that I once filed a motion and attached a draft official report, and you said no, until it is adopted, same cannot be relied upon. He relied on all those to make a supposed ruling, to deny the minority its right of being properly heard. And as for the majority chief whip, Mr. Speaker, I have said, my chief whip is accepted. I have said that many whips, it will be difficult for them to enter the kingdom of God. Mr. Speaker, a camel entering the eye of a needle will be much more easier. All the things you did, I have my 2 eyes. I saw. I've been in government before, so I know what you were doing. But now I am here and I'm alert. You would have to bring your members to make up. Mr. Speaker, I don't want anybody to quote you wrongly. The chair of the committee quoted you wrongly, and I've gotten my motion. I am going to move that Mr. Speaker rule against Mr. Speaker. He relied on an uncertified report. And Mr. Speaker, the rule is very clear. You cannot rely on a document that is not certified. So everything you did is rendered odious. And I know Mr. Speaker is going to rule on this matter. I know Mr. Speaker will rule on the matter because you cannot rely on certified official report to claim that Mr. Speaker has directed you to do something. That is what you did. And this Hansard must record this, that the document you relied on has not been certified. And you went ahead to do vetting on a document that has not been certified by Mr. Speaker. And now that Mr. Speaker is in the chair, we have ferried a motion to the clerk. And I'm serving you notice. Your paper will be arrested. I'm serving you notice. Your paper will be arrested. You can't lay that paper. Mr. Speaker has not certified that official report that you relied on. That's the point I'm making.
Right, Honorable Speaker. With all due respect, I will not want to sit here and allow the minority leader to illegitimately attribute to me any wrongdoing. The fact remains that I rely on what transpired in the House on Monday, when a decision was taken that we will not do any other thing except what the President requested for in his letter that the Speaker has quoted to the House. And it is a matter of fact that by that letter that I've relied upon, the request of the President was that we should consider the Banks Depositors Act Amendment Bill. 2, we should also consider 2 nominees for ministerial position. 3, we should consider the nomination of 3 judges to the Supreme Court. And this is a matter of fact. Therefore, the referral was made to the committee with no exception. Once we are considering the 2 nominees for ministerial position, we should as well consider the nominees for the Supreme Court. I cannot preside over a discrimination in favor of the 2 ministerial nominees and against the 3 Supreme Court judges. 2, this House, in considering the business statement, agreed that we should proceed to waive, based on Standing Order 3, to consider the vetting and treat it as an urgent matter. And once that particular business report has been adopted, there was no need to move any motion to suspend Standing Order 3. I refer to what transpired on the floor of Parliament. There was no objection to whatever transpired on the floor of Parliament. Therefore, I will not want to preside over a committee to reverse what has transpired at the plenary of the House. That will be contrary to our rules. So I cannot accede to his request that we should vet only our colleagues that are nominated for ministerial position and refrain from vetting the judges as a result of the fact that all of them are contained in one request letter leading to the recall of the House. Mr. Speaker, I have not done anything wrong. The general public has listened to the preliminary objection that you have raised, calling on me to rule on, and they have equally listened to my ruling at the committee level. So please, don't come to the floor of Parliament and record in the Hansard and create the impression that the chairman of the committee has done anything wrong. I therefore take a very great exception to the impression that you are creating about me. You are my brother, but on this occasion, I will not take it kindly. Please stop what you are doing. Enough is enough. Mr. Speaker, I rest my case.
Honorable members, this matter is not yet before the House. When it is before the House, the Speaker will call the House to have a say on it. In the meantime, there's nothing before us as being referred to by the minority leader, the members of the Appointments Committee, and the chair of the Appointments Committee. So we hope that if they are so minded and they want this matter to come before the House, they will do so in the proper manner. In the meantime, I direct that all what has happened so far be deleted from the records of the House. Honorable members, we move on, as stated earlier on, to item 7. Item 7, presentation of papers. The following paper to be presented, 7A, by the chairman of the committee.
18th report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nominations for appointment as Ministers of State.
Please, 7A, there are two items, Roman 1 and Roman 2.
19th report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nominations for appointment as Justices of the Supreme Court.
Honorable members, let me refer the committee to you members of the House, then you can raise whatever issue you want to. Honorable members, the two reports from the Appointments Committee, reports item 7A, Roman 1 and Roman 2 are accordingly laid and are for distribution to members of the House. Yes, Minority Leader.
Speaker, I can confirm that report AI draft was brought. I had the opportunity to look at it, and same was okay by me as ranking. The report AII, I have not cited a draft of the report. The practice, Speaker, the practice has always been that once the report, the first draft is ready, the clerk to the committee will share copies, give one to the chair and one to the ranking. So, Mr. Speaker, I find it very strange that even as the draft is not ready and my secretariat is just sitting by the clerk to the appointment committee waiting for the first draft, they tell my secretariat that the first draft is not ready. Yet, we are being invited to do II. Mr. Speaker, this is very strange. As for I don't have a problem. I've seen it. We've all gone through. The chairman has signed. But as for II, my secretariat is sitting right by the clerk to the appointment committee's office, and they are not done. So, Mr. Speaker, I plead that the way we are rushing things, they should give the appropriate information to the chair, so that we are not seen as trying to come in every now and then on a matter that is settled. The draft is not even ready, Mr. Speaker. I've not seen it.
Honourable members, the case being raised by the minority leaders that room 2 of item 7A is not ready, and therefore it cannot be laid. Chairman of the committee, is that the case?
Right, Honourable Speaker. The report is ready. The committee has voted on the report at the committee's sitting. Right, Honourable Speaker, the record must reflect what transpired at the appointment committee. After the preliminary issues and the ruling from the chairman of the committee, the minority, led by the minority leader, Osahin Alexander Kwamina Apanyo Markins, walk out. They wash their hands away. Mr. Speaker, the record will show that I even offered him a bottle of water to wash his hand and wash his hand properly. So in the full glare of the media, after the vetting, the committee has taken decision. And this decision does not include him. So if he is looking for a copy of the report regarding proceedings that he recused the entire minority from, then he should say so, and I will make copy available for him. Please, you said you have washed your hand away from it, and on one breath, you want to be given a copy of the report.
Mr. Speaker, with respect.
Yes, minority leader, yes.
Mr. Speaker, with respect, I think we need to take things a bit much more serious. With respect, whatever we are saying go into the record. Whether or not the minority boycotted in protest as a result of your decision, the rule or the practice is that when a draft report is ready, the ranking gets a copy and the chair gets a copy. Mrs. Please, colleagues, please. We don't, Mr. Speaker, in this chamber, we don't have hired hecklers. There is no hired heckler here. We are all colleagues. So please, let's put the facts right. As we speak, Mr. Speaker, the report is not ready, and he knows the report is not ready. Let's not do things to confuse the situation. I have gotten my secretariat to follow up because we made input. We are not interested in what happened thereafter, but we are interested in our position. Even if we are not there at all, we are entitled per the rules, at least to have the draft and be sure that whatever concerns we have been properly captured. That is why even at the committee level, the verbatim report is also to be produced. So if I'm making the point, don't say that the report is ready because we decided that as Democrats, we will respect your decision however displeased we were. We will respect you. And out of deference to you, we gently exited. We didn't recuse ourselves. There's a world of difference between protests and recuse. We didn't recuse ourselves. We protested by exercising the right of a walkout just to ensure that there is decent politics. So we are entitled to the draft report. The draft is not ready. My secretariat is right at the clerk's office. They say the report is not ready. They are still doing it. So I think that it is fair to check with them than to say that I am not presenting the full facts here. As we speak, you don't have a report by you. The rule says that as soon as sufficient copies are available, the report will be laid. That is a rule. So where are the sufficient copies? You as chair, if you say the report is ready, show me your copy. Show me a copy of the report that you have which is ready. Let us be fair. What we have is a ministerial one, and we are not opposed to it, colleagues. Sometimes there is a tendency for you as majority to do certain things, but remember that you won't be majority forever. Some of the things that I do that irritate you may be to your benefit tomorrow. So sometimes tolerate me, bear with me, because you are not too sure what will happen in 2028. No problem. If you think that opposition is only for MPP, continue dreaming. You continue dreaming. Mr. Speaker.
So, honorable minority leader, may we, honorable members, proceed with item 7A Roman 1. So, let's proceed with that, and whatever issue has been raised, if after completing that item, the issue is resolved, then we'll proceed to the second one. Please, let's proceed to 7B. Is that report ready? No. 7C, is it ready? No. 7D is also not ready. And so we'll move from then. If members have been given copies of item 7A Roman 1, we'll move to the next item dealing with that report. Yes, Minority Chief Whip.
Speaker, I sat quietly listening when you called the business schedule to be taken. Speaker, if our colleagues in the majority will recall, you had given notification of the businesses to be prosecuted. 7D was part of the business to be prosecuted. In fact, the 7C, the sector minister had been here to engage your leadership, that he was ready for that bill to be taken. My point is, if these businesses are not ready, why do we put them on the other paper? Especially 7D. When we were told that 7D was supposed to be part of the agent business to be prosecuted. What is happening? We can forgive you for 7C. What about 7D? The Chief Whip, 7D at the business committee, you had said that that was supposed to be part 7D. And you are not, it is not ready. The Speaker says it's not ready, and you said it's not ready. And we should just take it like that. This is part of the reasons why we are recalled. Speaker, I insist. 7D was part of the reasons why we were recalled. And for us to just say that, accept it merely on the grounds that it's not ready, is untenable. I am disappointed. Because you had a prior notification of these businesses to be prosecuted. You are only focusing on the ministerial and the Supreme Court's justice nominees. What about this business? Bank of Ghana, report the Finance Committee on the Bank of Ghana Special Deposit Taking Institution Amendment Bill. We were told it was supposed to be part. Speaker, we should be demanding some answers from the front bench. I may have to forgive my respected majority leader who is exiting, but Deputy Leader Rickett, in the absence of the majority leader, you should be working. Chief Whip, you should be helping the majority leader. Deputy Whip, you should be helping the majority leader. This is unpardonable. I'm disappointed in the front bench. I'm disappointed. Speaker, they must tell for the record reasons why this particular business, which was supposed to be part of the urgent business, is not ready. And we can't just accept it's not ready merely on the grounds that it's not ready. You shouldn't be proud about this. Tomorrow.
Honorable members, definitely the issue on 7D is genuine. For 7B and C, they were not part of the urgent business that we were called to consider. But 7D was clearly itemized as part of the business. So his issue is, why is the report on 7D not ready? That will be the chairman of the Finance Committee or Constitutional and Legal Committee, or both, yes. Are they here? Why is the report on 7D not ready? Honorable Minority Chief, you raised the issue. I'll put the question. Let's listen to it. You want to help them to answer your question. Honorable leadership and members of the majority, the Minority Chief Whip is offering help. Do you need his help? So then let's move on with the 7A Roman 1. But kindly take note of the concern he has raised. And so we will look at item 9, motion, chairman of the committee.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I rise to move that notwithstanding the provisions of Order 1041 of the Standing Orders, which requires that a motion shall not be debated until at least 2 sitting days have elapsed after the notice to move the motion is given. The motion for the adoption of the report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as Ministers of State may be moved today. Mr. Speaker, I so move.
Sorry, please, go on.
Speaker, I rise to second motion moved.
Honorable members, this is a procedural motion, so I'll proceed to put the question since it's been moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The motion is accordingly adopted, and we'll move to item 10, motion, chairman of the committee.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I rise to move that this Honorable House adopt the report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as Ministers of State. Mr. Speaker, in so doing, I present to you the committee's report and urge the Hansard Department to capture the entire report as having been read. Mr. Speaker, the report has got to do with the vetting of Honorable Mahama Ayariga as the Minister-designate for local government, chieftaincy, and religious affairs. And an Honorable Zaneto Ajiman Rollins as the Minister Designate for Environment. Right Honorable Speaker, I will then proceed to capture in the marginal notes contained in the report, since the Hansard Department has captured the entire report, and I will read the conclusion. Right Honorable Speaker, the report considered first nominee, that's Mahama Ayariga, his background, and proceeded to ask the necessary questions which he has duly and appropriately and suitably responded. Some of the questions were reforms to local government elections and the appointment of MMDCs, illegal and irresponsible small-scale mining, and what we popularly call galamsey. The National Cathedral, the relationship between MMDCs and the members of Parliament, release and utilization of district assemblies common fund with specific reference to the small portion that members of Parliament has to authorize its utilization, though they are not the keepers of that money and as such not signatories to that money. Funding and development of chieftaincy institutions, matters relating to chieftaincy and religious affairs, his neutrality, impartiality, and independence regarding his position as the minister responsible for chieftaincy, district assemblies, revenue mobilization, and financial autonomy, digitalization of local revenue collection. And Right Honorable Speaker, he has provided answers adequately to these questions to the satisfaction of the committee. Right Honorable Speaker, we proceeded to vet Honorable Zaneto Ajiman Rollins, Doctor, Minister Designate for Environment Science and Technology. We equally considered her background and proceeded to pose relevant questions. Equally, some of the questions borders on landfills and waste management, the use of mercury in small-scale mining and galamsey, plastic waste management and implementation of plastic ban. We ask questions on climate change action and implementation of the Paris Agreement, addressing attrition and brain drain in agencies under the ministry. So, Speaker, some of the questions were the legislative framework and implementation of Act 1124, interagency collaboration in the fight against illegal mining, popularly referred to as galamsey. We ask questions on transitioning from climate change commitment to practical implementation and climate finance. Mr. Speaker, she has also suitably, appropriately responded to these questions, and their respective response were all captured by the reports. Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, the committee, in the light of the provisions of Article 78(1) of the 1992 Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, Standing Order 217, considered the two nominees of His Excellency the President as ministers of state. The nominees demonstrated knowledge in areas of local governance, chieftaincy and religious affairs, small-scale mining, waste management, and climate change. The committee therefore recommends to the House by consensus the adoption of its report and approval of Honorable Mahama Ayariga as Minister Designate for Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. Honorable Dr. Zaneto Ajiman Rollins as Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. Right Honorable Speaker, I respectfully submit. Thank you for the opportunity.
Honorable members, any seconder? Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by the chairman of the Appointments Committee. Mr. Speaker, the two nominees who have been recommended for approval by this House demonstrated competence when they appeared before the Appointments Committee in responding to questions posed by members of the committee. I would start with the Honorable Mahama Ayariga, who is also the majority leader and leader of government business. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Mahama Ayariga, in responding a question on reforms to local government elections and appointment of DCEs, made a point which is very profound. And Mr. Speaker, this is found at page 6 of the report. Honorable Mahama Ayariga made it clear that on the question of the proposed constitutional reforms for the election of MMDCEs, government's position, which is that the president nominates the MMDCEs and then allow for the entire electorate to elect from the number that the president would nominate, is a calculated attempt to preserve the country's unitary character while at the same time promoting local ownership, participation, and accountability in governance. Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Mahama Ayariga's views on this matter are very apt. Ghana is a unitary state as opposed to a federal state. And so we must be very careful so as not to emulate examples that are best suitable in federal states. In federal states such as the United States or Nigeria, Mr. Speaker, it is very easy for local government actors to be truly independent of central government authorities. Same cannot be translated in unitary republics. And so the position the Honorable Mahama Yarego took, which reflects government's position, is that let us for a start experiment with a system which allows for nominations to be done by the president, and then at the local level, the entire electorate can choose from a certain number. For a start, let's experiment with that. And moving forward, if it doesn't work for us, we can begin to experiment with other strategies and ideas. I think that this position taken by the Honorable Mahama Yarega is very instructive. Again, Mr. Speaker, when Honorable Mahama Yarega was questioned on the approach he would adopt in the fight against illegal and irresponsible small-scale mining, he acquitted himself very creditably. On page 7 of the report, Mr. Speaker, the Honorable Mahama Yarega aptly diagnosed the causes of illegal mining in our country as follows. He said, the underlying socio-economic factors, and I'm quoting, including difficulties faced by some young people in obtaining the requisite licenses to undertake mining legally, is one of the causes of illegal small-scale mining in our country. And so he went on to profile solutions when he becomes minister to include the easing of the processes leading to the acquisition of licenses for small-scale or artisanal mining. Mr. Speaker, if we are able to relax the legal regime for young persons seeking to engage in lawful small-scale or artisanal mining, I am sure we would be able to partly address the problem. And that is the solution he proffered for the problem. So with this depth of knowledge and understanding of the issues, Mr. Speaker, it is my humble prayer that we support the Honorable Mahama Yarege's nomination by resoundingly approving of same. Mr. Speaker, let me now touch on Honorable Zanato Ajiman Rawlings, who is the nominee for the Ministry for Environment, Science and Technology. And again, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Rawlings acquitted herself very well. At page, Mr. Speaker, at page 26 of the report, the nominee also had a bite at the thorny issue of illegal mining. And what solutions did she prefer? She was of the view that the approach she would adopt is, and I quote, all of government and all of society imperatives, unquote. And what did she mean by that, Mr. Speaker? She simply meant that she would emphasize the need for effective coordination among relevant ministries, departments, and agencies, particularly because illegal mining activities largely occur within local government areas. Her argument, Mr. Speaker, is that she will not indulge in the fight against illegal mining in silos. And so where there is collaboration and coordination, she believes that we'll be able to defeat the canker of illegal mining or artisanal mining. Mr. Speaker, on this note, given that the two nominees acquitted themselves with distinction at the vetting, I would urge colleague members to approve of their nominations. And on that note, Mr. Speaker, I say thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yes, Minority Chief Whip.
Speaker, I definitely rise to speak in support for the call for the adoption of the report of the appointment committee. And I start off by having a go at the majority leaders different answers as was professed to the issues that were thrown at him. In my observation, I clearly observe a leader who understands the issues at hand, the milieu of issues ranging from the common fund, the governance system of our local governments, relationship with MMDCs and MPs, funding of chieftaincy institution, and digitalization of local revenue collection. Leaders showed definite expertise, and for the period I've worked with him, I can confirm of his discipline, his commitment to public service, and his passion when it comes to governance generally. So, leader, I will wish you well. But if you recall, I didn't ask you a question. I only said that you will have to come to Parliament as often as you can to answer all the questions that will be thrown at you. I was impressed by your answers and the way you contextualize most of the answers you gave to the issues that were raised. It showed class and experience. Our colleague, the Honorable Dr. Senator, the Speaker, I am an environmentalist, and so I sought to elicit good response from our colleague from landfill side waste, e-waste, climate finance, plastic waste management, and the protocols, the global environmental protocols, right from Kyoto to Berlin to Copenhagen to Brussels. And she showed class. She showed class. Then we veered into landfill site waste management. Again, she showed a certain definite expertise in this area. But for the records, I thought I had to be fair to my colleague because I had picked a lot of intelligence on happenings at the EPA, which is definitely an agency, if this House is gracious enough to approve of you, an agency under you. There's a lot happening at the EPA, and I didn't want to push you because you are yet to go to the ministry. I'm only urging you that put your feet down, let the right thing be done. Mining generally, and the liabilities that mining companies come under, is a subject matter that you should be concerned about. A lot of these mining companies perpetuate illegality with a certain glee. And we have to up our game in terms of the governance of mining in our country. Elsewhere, in other parts of the world, not far away, not developed countries, even on the African soil, there are many places where there is a certain discipline. As a mining company, you cannot come to Africa, things that a lot of these mining companies cannot do elsewhere, and they do it, they feed fat on us, they perpetuate illegality, and they get away with it. Mr. Speaker, I am proud to say I was part of the people who stood in to advocate for our colleague to be elected as the Vice President of the Pan-African Parliament. Well, she's here, she can testify. Yes, but I'm saying this in a certain context. I'm saying that also to say that for the short period she's occupied that seat, she has shown brilliance. And there was an occasion she chaired a session of the Pan-African Parliament. And coincidentally, when she was chairing, I was also presenting a committee report. And that day was a day for Ghanaians. she's wonderful, and regardless, we must celebrate her. So, Doc, we are urging you to leave a mark at the EPA. It shouldn't just be business as usual. What will you be remembered of? We are hoping that the environmental governance, and also, let me just conclude, I know there are a number of people who want to speak on this subject matter. Climate finance. I'm happy you spoke to all the countries that have signed on with Ghana and the dollars that will rake into our country. The UAE is a huge potential. Regardless of the hydrocarbon deposit at the UAE, they are willing to exchange with us. And I'm hoping that your outfit, and the climate minister, and Prof is here. Prof is another gifted person in the area of climate finance. And now the narrative globally is on loss and damage. The developed world stands to gain over $300 billion if we are able to get the narrative right. And we will be available. I will give pro bono consultation when it comes to these matters. We'll be willing to help out of patriotism and for the development of our country. Speaker, let me urge our colleagues to support the two nominees who have distinguished themselves. And don't forget, you belong to this House. When we file the questions, come and answer questions. Yes, it's not a threat. When we file questions, they shouldn't be telling us they are attending conferences. When we file questions, make time for Parliament. This is Parliament. And don't forget us in the front bench here, especially Dr. Zenator. The minority leader, he had personified the fight for advocacy for you to be appointed. Supported my good self. Don't forget us. Speaker, if I say she shouldn't forget us, don't spin it. And don't put any wrongful interpretation on that. We work hand in hand. We having said that, I'll urge colleagues to support the passage of the report, and I'll respectfully urge our colleagues to succeed in their respective ministry. I thank you.
Honourable members, I'll proceed to put the question, because both sides have eulogized the qualities of the two nominees. And I don't want us to keep on. Please, I will not even grant leadership that opportunity. I believe that these are your colleagues you have worked with. One has been a leader for years. There is no way the House can go back and say their leader is not qualified to be a minister. Honorable Dr. Zenator, the minority has even said more than what the majority has said. So what is there to deliberate upon or debate? So I proceed to put the question. If there's your voices, we've always heard your voices every day. And we know you, the leaders. And so I put the question. Those in favor, say aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. This honorable House has accordingly approved the nominations of His Excellency the President of the following persons as Ministers of State in accordance with Article 78(1) of the 1992 Constitution. The first is Honorable Mahama Ayarga. Honorable members, as Minister of Local Government, Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. The second is Honorable Zanato Ajiman Rollins. For the Ministry of Environment, Science, Technology, and Innovation. Honorable members, on your behalf, I want to congratulate the two members of the House for the recognition by His Excellency the President, and wish them well in the two ministries. I know what is waiting there for them, and I'm going to have an eye on what they do there. You have a Herculean task in those ministries, and you both know what I'm talking about. And so please, you are going to wear additional hats, and that's not going to be easy. You have to combine your role as a member of parliament, as a minister of state, and also even what you are leaving behind here. You have to still carry that along. And particularly my son, Honorable Mahama Ayalga, you have a very tall mountain to climb. And please, we are all available to support, to make sure that you deliver on your mandate. So congratulations, and the Almighty God Himself will bless both of you. Thank you so much. Honorable members, the report on item 7A Roman 2. Is it ready and has it been distributed to members? Yes, Minority Leader. Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, something rather unfortunate is happening. Mr. Speaker, you've been Minority Leader before. You presided the enactment of our rules. Speaker, you also are aware of our practice. Mr. Speaker, in the first report we took, the draft report, I'm talking about the ministerial report. The draft was brought. I went through together with the chairman separately. He was given his copy. I made certain corrections based on our input before the final report was drafted. Mr. Speaker, in this report, I had to demand from the clerk, Mr. Speaker, it must not be done. And when you raise it, a certain impression is created as if you are difficult. The chairman has signed this report without I as ranking.
Please, which of the reports?
Mr. Speaker, the one on the justices of the Supreme Court, the II. Mr. Speaker, we know the practice at committee level. The report, we have to look at the draft so that all our views as expressed are captured. The clerk is supposed to be an impartial person and get the thing to me, the draft, and give the draft also to the chair. Mr. Speaker, we don't want to bring what happens at the secretariat to this floor, but it is unfair. It is unfair that this report, it's given to the chair, he signs it, I don't see it, then the clerk, I'm asking, so he only has Mr. Speaker's copy. He now tells me, I said, why are you doing this to us? Mr. Speaker, why is the secretariat doing this to us? Are we part of the process? Mr. Speaker, please, let's not do this. Mr. Speaker, and when the report was brought, we tendered the 30th July 2024 verbatim report. I relied on it as part of my preliminary objection. That has not been captured. Nothing is said about it. If I had the benefit of the draft, Chief Whip, Majority Chief Whip, stop this. What you are doing is not right. We need to have our views captured. We need to have our views captured. I also demanded the verbatim report so that I can reconcile. They have not produced the verbatim report. And as if they are only dealing with the chairman and it's a one-sided house. Mr. Speaker, this is not how we run this house. This is not how we run this house.
You don't want to be quoted.
I've demanded the verbatim report. This is not the first time I've demanded it. If you look into the rules book, it is part of our right. We have a right to demand for it. To be sure everything is correct. I am pleading with parliamentary service staff. We are not taking them to the cleaners, but they should know that whatever they are doing today, posterity is watching. They should be fair. They should be fair. We are part of the process. This is not a one-party parliament. They shouldn't subject us to such mistreatment. Where is our verbatim report? Why have they not captured all our views? Why are they only giving the thing to the chair for him to sign? And the clerk to the committee knows very well that until both sides have looked at it, you cannot sign. This is a practice I know. I've been majority leader before. My colleague, the minority leader, and then the chief whip, Honorable Agboja, who is now Rose Minister, always insisted that before the final report is signed, the draft must be seen by the two leaders at the committee. What has changed? It doesn't matter. I have put in, Mr. Speaker, that what the chief whip is doing is all right. We are two leaders. Let's respect ourselves. Don't give us wrong signal to the back bench. Sit down, let me finish. Stop shouting across. Stop it. May you resume your seats for me to finish. Mr. Speaker, you see what you are doing, Mr. Speaker. One day you'll be in opposition. What you are doing? One day you'll be in opposition. A government side will do this to you and you'll be crying. Stop it. Mr. Speaker, we all know Mr. Agboja was once upon a time a chief whip. Dr. Forson was once upon a time a chief whip. I know colleagues opposite. Some of you were committee rankings. You know the practice. How can a chair of a committee sign a report? A clerk will sign without first the ranking seeing. Mr. Speaker, when I was the majority leader, anytime reports were ready, the clerks will insist that the ranking would have to see before. So what has changed? What has changed, my parliamentary service staff? Why? What has changed? You are bending all the rules, forgetting about your own practice, and you are mistreating the minority. What I'm saying, Mr. Speaker, I plead with you, in the interest of the nation, to put this matter on ice. Let's get the Secretariat to do the right thing. Let's don't rush. We don't have the verbatim report. All our views have not been captured. But Mr. Speaker, I've made my case, I put it across. I don't control the final decision. I leave it to you.
Majority Chief Whip.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, the report before us is a product of the processes that the minority leader abandoned. Is a product of the vetting process that he abandoned. He raised a preliminary objection ex tempo. Mr. Speaker, I wish that the minority leader will listen to me. Mr. Speaker, he raised a preliminary objection ex tempo. Mr. Speaker, after his ex tempo submission, no, please, he didn't submit anything. He brought whatever he was submitting ex tempo. He noted points. Mr. Speaker, when it was done, the chair of the committee responded on stated grounds and dismissed the preliminary objection in limine. So the process now began. At that time, he commanded he and his members to abandon the process, and they never returned. The process concluded. The committee made a determination. It is the determination that is contained in the report. So, Mr. Speaker, humbly, on what basis would the ranking member be asking to vet a report, so to say, of a process that he was not a party to? He told us that he would never be a party to the process. How does a report emanating from that process now supposed to be given to you for you to vet? In any case, Mr. Speaker, if he's minded to contribute to the report, he has the chance now. Mr. Speaker, that's number two. Mr. Speaker, number three, all the points that he's rehashing in respect of procedure regarding preparation and appending to a report. Mr. Speaker, he could have asked the clerk for a copy of the first draft and the second draft, or he could have returned to the committee meeting after the official vetting had concluded. He didn't also participate in the committee proceedings. So, Mr. Speaker, the procedure that he's urging upon the House and happy on, he abandoned the process and went home. And we sat here and worked and have come to plenary. So if he's returned to participate in the processes before plenary, he has every right to do so. But he shouldn't impound the process, because the process that he sat and participated, that report, he has no complaint about it, because he contributed and made an input to the final preparation of the report, which is respect of the ministers. So this attempt to bastardize the process and say that we are abusing our majority at the least opportunity, Mr. Speaker, should not be countenanced. It is getting too far with some of these things. It's getting too far. And then he will bastardize the clerk and threaten them that as public servants, they are supposed to be neutral when they haven't done anything wrong. Mr. Speaker, with all due respect, the minority leader should let us conclude this matter peacefully. He's made enough points for today. He should allow the process to conclude peacefully. Mr. Speaker, I thank you for giving me the opportunity to respond.
Yes, Chairman of the committee.
Mr. Speaker, thank you very, very much for giving me the opportunity to add to what the majority Chief Whip, who happens to be a member of the committee, has said. Right Honorable Speaker, the report is very clear at page 2 that minority leader raised preliminary objection. And everything that the majority leader read out and said is captured by the report from page 2 to 13. It's captured verbatim from page 2 to 13. Mr. Speaker, what he is referring to as the verbatim report that he tendered, honesty is the best policy. The truth shall make all of us free. We can refer to the recording of Parliament, audiovisual, to see whether minority leader has tendered any document. Mr. Speaker, there is no scintilla of evidence in what minority leader is saying that he tendered document. What the minority leader said in respect of that document is captured at page 4, paragraph 5. And I quote from the report. In support of this ground, we refer to verbatim report of the appointment committee, proceedings of 30th July 2024. At that sitting, when in opposition, the present majority insists on a strict compliance with the 14 days rules. The Speaker, it went on. He read it, but never tendered it. And whatever he read has been captured by this report. So I do not know what the minority leader is complaining about. Mr. Speaker, I repeat, he never tendered any document before the committee. He relied on a document, and whatever he read out from that particular document has been captured verbatim. And all that he read and all that he said is captured in total from page 2 to page 13 of our report. My response to his 13 pages is in 3 pages. Mr. Speaker, I considered all that he read, with all due respect, as flimsy and hollow. I consider it as unmeritorious, frivolous, vexatious, baseless on the facts and the procedures of this House. And it is captured. Right Honorable Speaker, our record will show that the clerk duly placed on the committee's platform that will be taking decision on this. So all members should come. And the time for taking the decision is 5:25. In our attempt to reach out to them, proved no avail. The truth be told, it was only Honorable Anodompre who walked in at the time that we have finished taking decision on the report. We asked the clerk to call all of them. I personally called the minority leader, but the minority leader will not answer to my call. Right Honorable Speaker, it got to a point that in the midst of the frustration by them, we brought in the clerk for the clerk to also try and reach out to a minority leader that we are about taking decision on the report. Therefore, we need them. Because they walk out, they have never taken part in the decision-making process. So therefore, you cannot come to this house of record and create the impression that you've not been given the opportunity to take part in the decision-making process as if it was one-sided. We accorded you every opportunity. You have decided to walk out, and indeed, you've walked out. When we finish, we deem it fit to bring you in for us to take decision. You were not available just because you don't want the judges to be vetted. It is not what you want, but it is what the committee wants. It is what the House wants. So you cannot hold the committee to ransom, and you cannot put fettered on the way of Parliament. Mr. Speaker, the report is ripe before you, and I pray that we take it and give approval to the judges. I so submit.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I sat quietly to listen to my two colleagues. However, my disagreement, I show them respect. I expect that colleagues on the other side would accord me same respect and hear me. Mr. Speaker, first of all, the Majority Chief Whip in his submission put on public record that I left and went home. Those who were in this chamber know that I was at all material time in this chamber with them long before the chamber started. So that is one point I want to put across. And if the honesty you have been talking about, people will be bold about that honesty, they would testify. That is one. Two, Mr. Speaker, I have no reason to question the integrity of the First Deputy Speaker. He knows how much I respect him. But I want to say that I have not seen any missed calls from him, because when he was making his submission, I checked my phone again to be double sure, just in case I miss his call. I have his two numbers, a 020 number and a 0244 number. Mr. Speaker, he never called. Mr. Speaker, what the clerk rather did, the clerk to Parliament came to my office with a committee clerk for us to discuss the draft when they first brought the ministerial draft. And when they came, I told them that, I've worked on it already and I've sent my officers to quickly take it to them so that they don't delay. This I communicated. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of the matter I've raised, Mr. Speaker, Bernard is always referring to I take exception and I take personal. I don't often use those expressions. But Mr. Speaker, you don't express a phrase that it is hollow, empty, baseless. You don't, no, excuse me, it is untenable and unconscionable and repugnant to good conscience to use such an expression to describe a disagreement with your colleague opposite. No, you disagree with me. You and I know that there is never a precedent in this house where judges to the Supreme Court are vetted 3 days after notice. You know. And you also know that when you were in opposition, you strongly and forcefully contended that the 10 days notice in the papers for judges to be vetted was wrong. And you physically prevented vetting. I was majority leader. I yielded. I called Dr. Atuforsen and I said, no problem. We sent the judges out, we re-advertised and yielded to you. So you cannot say that if I'm repeating your argument of yesterday, that argument is hollow. With respect, you have condescended. With respect, you have condescended. And that should not come from you as a leader to a colleague leader. You have condescended with respect. Mr. Speaker, all I am doing today, however uncomfortable it may appear to my colleagues opposite, however irritating it may appear, they should bear in mind that the 9th Parliament does not end the democracy we have. There will be a 10th, 11th, and 12th. So let us all be guided. Never have I, Mr. Speaker, again he says, the majority chief whip says, the clerks or parliamentary service staff have been attacked. It may be convenient for him to say so, but please, don't impugn improper motive. I have stated my clear objections. And unfortunately, when I was the leader of this house, I was consistently reminded by the secretariat that, leader, in this house, it has to be two sides. So I find it strange, quite curious, that in the 9th Parliament, a clerk may be dealing with the chair of the committee without recourse at all to the ranking. This we must find very strange, and I have every right to express such a concern. Mr. Speaker, finally, before we left, the clerk came to me for a copy of the 30th July 2024 report I relied on. They came to demand it as part of the records. So I'm not just asking for it, but they themselves found it necessary to attach it for their records. That is why I'm demanding the verbatim report. That is why I'm saying I've not seen it being attached. If we want to play on words to say that there was no tendering, I didn't tender, therefore, once I've relied upon it, the secretariat has demanded, I have to shut my mouth on it. Mr. Speaker, with respect, then we are playing convenience against principle. That I don't think is right. Be that as it may, Mr. Speaker, I would want to still do what a Democrat does. I have my source document. I will still rely on same in my submission when he finally moves the motion. I wouldn't belabor, but all of us must be guided by whatever precedents we are setting today, because too soon and sooner than later, the same principle may come and haunt us. Mr. Speaker, today they may be happy, let them be pleased. I'll rest my case.
Honorable members, I think we've heard enough. I, as Speaker of the House and Chairman of the Parliamentary Service Board, has ultimate responsibility for the administration, the management, and the control of the staff of Parliament. You all know that the staff of Parliament is, by our concept, to be non-partisan. They are impartial. They are not visible at plenary sessions. They don't have a say. They don't have a voice. And so we have been advised, and it is the practice, that you don't bring them in during your debates, because they can never have the opportunity to respond. You cannot do anything in this house without also depending on them. After so many years in this house, I saw the need for us to build the capacity of the staff of Parliament. And you can even see the quality of the reports that we are getting these days. We have been able to strengthen the institution. Honorable member, please, you are not at the market square. You can even see that immediately after the public hearing, the staff have been able to reproduce the proceedings at the hearing copiously, which meant that some work has been done to their capacity, and we have also retooled the institution of Parliament. In spite of all that, in your debates, you try to bring them on board and raise questions that they can't have the opportunity to respond to. That is completely unfair. Please, let's stop it. It doesn't help anybody. When these things are raised, I always have the opportunity to sit with them, to go through it. What happens cannot be brought back here and be aired, because it's going to affect the institution and members themselves. And so we have to handle them through the usual channels of communication, confidentiality. When you talk about dignity, you know what it means. It's the innate worth of the human being. And that is the greatest treasure of every human being. That's your wealth. And so you don't toy with that innate, divine, giving wealth of a person. That's the first point. The second point is that this is Parliament. This is not court. You cannot have hearings on the floor of the House. You have hearings at committee level, where you can ask questions and then get answers and all those things. You don't have only members, you have other experts there to assist and all those things. On the floor of the House, we don't have that opportunity. So we don't use hearings. We talk about deliberations. And so when you raise all these issues, we can start taking evidence. And that is where integrity matters. Honesty, truthfulness. I have nothing to rely on except what is before me. And so when you come and disagree seriously on these matters, what am I expected to do? To say that what A said is true, what B said is untrue? I cannot do that without a hearing. And we cannot conduct a hearing on the floor of Parliament. So please, we have to rely on what we have here. I have had the opportunity to glean through, not read, because they are quite voluminous, looking at the essential parts. The changes you made drew my attention to some of the areas which I've gone through. And I think from what I observed from the screen, when you people were doing the public hearing of the nominees, this captures the key issues that came before the committee. And so that's all what I can rely on to guide the House for us to take a decision. And that is what I intend to do. I should have been chairing an activity of the National Commission on Civic Education from 7, but I consider this as a very important matter. They waited for some time, and they have to continue now, and I'm here. And that activity is also so germane to what we do here and the whole concept of multi-party democracy in the country. Well, we need to support the NCC to function and to create the culture of democracy. The people who represent to understand what we do here and why we do what we do, for their benefit, so that they can support you in your constituencies. That is why I was invited to represent you as a partner in the performance of their duties. I had to give you this opportunity, and we've lost the other one. And so, please, we don't work in isolation. We work with our partners. And sometimes when I want to draw your attention to some of these things, you think that I'm rushing you. I won't do that. So I give you the opportunity, because you must be heard. But don't try to overstretch some of the issues which we cannot handle on the floor. You can do them at the committee level. If you don't build consensus, you can raise the main issues. Then at the end of the day, the House will take the decision. That is what we do. But when you can't raise issues on integrity or lack of it, it becomes difficult for the House to go into those areas. So please, let's deal with the main issue. The issue, yes, is on the report of the committee. The standing orders are very clear on it. If you go to the standing orders report of committee 215, it says the deliberations, and I used the word before, deliberations and recommendations of a committee shall be presented to the House in the form of a report. The committee shall consider and adopt the report prior to the presentation of the report to the House, and the report shall be signed by the chairman and the clerk to the committee. That is what the standing orders say. And that is general. When you go to Order 283, it handles how the report of the committee is prepared. It's very copious there. And so from what you have both stated, if one group or an individual decide at the committee level to wash his or her hands or their hands off the report, it means that they will not be available to participate in the process that is detailed out in Order 283. And so if there is a quorum at the committee and the decision is taken and is reported to us that is a majority decision, it's not consensus, it's not unanimous, we have to rely on that majority decision. That doesn't prevent those who have washed their hands off from commenting on the report. It doesn't also prevent them being given copies of the report. What it does is that they lose the opportunity to make their inputs that they would have done if they were present. The earlier points they made have to be captured in the report. And so when they look through it and it's not captured, they have the opportunity on the floor to refer to it. But thereafter, once they decided to opt out, they don't have the opportunity to start putting fresh information on the floor of the House. And that is what we have. So please, these are all captured. And when that is done, the next thing is for us to put the question. And I think I've given you enough opportunity to do all this. I will now proceed to put the question. I am pleading with you, please, when it is moved and seconded, that's what I'm saying. I will be left with no option than to put the question. I'm pleading with you too, that when you are putting across your views, because we are not in the court of law, move away from technical terms. You are speaking not to yourselves, but to guardians. So when you start using the Latin phrases and all those things, I mean, to show how prophetized you are, and that kind of thing, the elite will admire you, but the general populace will not understand what you are saying. And then you may not be able to gather that support. Some people may say, Okabrofopa, but that's all. So I plead, I know how you people, particularly a minority leader, as a literature student, I know you are a literature student. And literature students, often, many of them do law. And they learn the terms by rote. And so when they are speaking, it easily comes in seamlessly. It's not sometimes conscious, it just comes in. And so I listen to you people do it. And I know that you used to chew Julius Caesar and the rest from A to Z. So please, you tone down on those things and put it in simple language. In fact, it's because you don't have the system operating that you are not speaking the local languages. Because our standing orders permit all of us to use our local languages. It's just that there must be translation, and that takes time. So please, let me allow the motion to be moved, and let's proceed after all this to put the question. Because I still have to at least go and conclude the activity at the NCCE. Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, you know that whenever you give a guide, hardly would I want to, even if I disagree, I try to accommodate it. Mr. Speaker, this is what I suggested to my colleague opposite, that instead of individual contributions, we have summarized our views, which would be captured in one voice through me. So, Mr. Speaker, this is an important constitutional matter for us as a party. So, we are not going to take individual contribution. I assured him that it is only one composite submission from my side. So, when they second, I would make the point, our views known, and that's it. So, Mr. Speaker, you don't have any worry at all. Because, Mr. Speaker, we want to take the opportunity to make the point that were not captured, and that is what we want to humbly suggest to you. So, Mr. Speaker, please bear with us. We are not going to do individual contribution, and I discussed that with my colleague.
You are referring to the Majority Leader as your colleague. You discussed that with him or with somebody else. But when you say your colleague,
I refer to the Majority Leader.
Majority Leader.
Yes.
Yes.
I said my colleague opposite.
Yes, I want to know so that I can give him the opportunity. Yes, Majority Leader, what do you have to say?
Mr. Speaker, I'm a little lost. I'm a little lost because I was conferring with him because we're thinking if it is possible for us to adjourn Sine Die today. And I asked him that if it is possible for us to complete the approval of the Supreme Court nominees, in which case I could reach out to you to see if it is possible and you want us to adjourn today, Sine Die. That was the context in which we were conferring. But on this specific issue, I'm waiting to get a sense of what your direction is in terms of how you want us to proceed, because we had extracted you from your engagement at NCCE just to preside over these two issues and then still be able to go back. And so definitely I believe you will want to use the most expeditious way of dispatching business so that you'll be able to go back to the NCCE. I have listened, and there are two issues. One is the processes that occurred during the sitting of the Appointments Committee. I thought that all the debate, all the discussion that took place have captured the arguments of both sides regarding what happened. And you have given some direction in relation to that. If there's going to be any debate, that should be about the recommendation of the committee relating to the competence or the capacity of the nominees to serve as Supreme Court judges, for which reason we will be approving them. And so what I want to know from my colleague on the other side is whether the arguments that he wants his side to articulate relate to the nominees and their competence, or he still wants to rehash the arguments about what he said at the committee, which he thinks have not been captured in the report. If that's the case, then Speaker will give some direction how he wants us to proceed. Because I think that your arguments have been captured already, and Speaker has heard, and Speaker has given some direction. But it's all for Speaker to decide.
Honorable members, the last issue raised by the minority leader is admissible. We will move the motion. The motion will be seconded, and then on behalf of the minority group, he will present their position in this matter. And then we put the question. That is the right thing to do. So, Chairman of the committee, kindly move the motion.
Right, Honorable Speaker, with all due respect, I think we have to lay item numbered 7AII before I proceed to move the motion.
Chairman, we laid it, and it was read by the table office.
Very well, very well. Right, Honorable Speaker, I rise to move that notwithstanding the provisions of Standing Order 1041 of the Standing Orders, which requires that a motion shall not be debated until at least 2 sitting days have elapsed after the notice of the motion. After the notice of the motion is given, the motion for the adoption of the report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana's nomination for appointment as justices of the Supreme Court may be now moved. Mr. Speaker, I so moved.
Any seconder? I think this is a procedural motion, so it has to be seconded.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion.
Honorable members, being a procedural motion, I put the question. Those in favor of the adoption of the motion say yes. Now, those who are against say no. The ayes have it. Honorable members, the adoption of the motion is clear to all of you. Now, I use the term yes, because we are moving away from this old English. Nay is old English, which is still even used in Holland when they want to say no. they say nay. Okay, that's dash. Ayes is a corrupted form of hear the person making submissions. And so initially they used to say hear the person making the submissions. Listen to the person making the submissions. But now, how we are using it is to talk about yes or no. And still we are repeating ayes. And now we don't even say nay, we say no. So why not yes or no? These are things that only conservative people will be enslaved by. Any progressive person will always want to transform. And in the next standing orders, I'm sure you will do so, whether I'm present or absent. So, honorable members, we now take the substantive motion, which is item 12 on the order paper.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to move the substantive motion numbered item 12 at page 4 of today's order paper that this Honorable House adopt the report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nomination for appointment as Justices of the Supreme Court of Ghana. And Right Honorable Speaker, in doing so, I present your committee's report after due deliberations in vetting the nominees in the person of Justice Edward Amoako Asante, who is currently Justice of the Court of Appeal, now being nominated to the Supreme Court. 2, Mr. Anthony Forson, Jr., one of the legal luminaries in this country and former member of the Ghana Bar Association. 3, Justice Sophia Rosta Oduokua Benasco Essa, currently serving as a Court of Appeal judge, now being nominated to the Supreme Court. Right Honorable Speaker, your committee, after deliberation, came out with this report, and I will urge the Hansa Department to capture the entire report as having been read, whilst I take the excerpt of same. Right Honorable Speaker, there was a preliminary objection as in item number 3.0. Same was responded to and concluded by the committee. Right Honorable Speaker, thereafter, we need to place on record that our friends from the minority side staged a walkout and stated they've washed their hands from the rest of the processes leading to the vetting of all the 3 nominees. Mr. Speaker, the first nominee considered by the committee is Justice Edward Amoako Asante. Paragraph 5.0 states his background clearly, and questions were posed and response were given thereafter. Questions such as his achievement at ECOWAS Court was posed. Questions such as integration of artificial intelligence, AI, into the court system was asked. Safeguarding the independence of the judiciary was posed to him. Evolution of spousal rights in the jurisprudence of Ghana was one of the questions posed. Questions were posed regarding the constitutional supremacy, separation of judicial and administrative duties of the Chief Justice was also posed. Relationship between Chapter 5 and Chapter 6 of the 1992 Constitution was also posed. Right to bail and the call for bail acts was one of the questions posed to him. Right Honorable Speaker, he responded to all those questions to the satisfaction of the committee. The next nominee is Mr. Anthony Forson Jr. His background was taken as contained in item 7.1. Then we proceeded to pose questions which he responded, stating some of the questions posed to him in a marginal form: his establishment of regional tribunal, his view on it, conflict of interest when sitting as a Supreme Court judge, how he is going to manage that, election of metropolitan, municipal, and district chief executives, composition and size of the Supreme Court, reduction of judicial case backlogs, the steps he will propose to be taken in order to ensure that principles of appellate practice, artificial intelligence, among others, were posed. Right Honorable Speaker, the last nominee considered by the committee is Justice Sophia Rosta Oduokua Benasco Esa. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee was of the view that she has been vetted previously, reports generated recommending to this House, which report was eventually not taken by the House, leading to her approval. Therefore, the committee asked few questions, which she responded eloquently to the satisfaction of the committee. Right Honorable Speaker, in conclusion, the majority of all the members present and voting recommend to the House, having satisfied the constitutional imperative in Article 104 of the Constitution of the Republic of Ghana, the approval of Justice Edward Amoko Asante, Justice Anthony Forson Jr., Justice Sophia Rosta Benasco Esa as justices of the Supreme Court of Ghana. Right Honorable Speaker, respectfully, I so submit. Thank you for the opportunity.
Honorable members, any seconder? Yes.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion ably moved by the chairman of the committee. Mr. Speaker, in doing so, I'd want to refer to the report. Mr. Speaker, three persons appeared before the committee for vetting. And at the conclusion of the exercise, all three have been recommended for approval by this House. Mr. Speaker, with your kind permission, I would start with Justice Amwako Asante. Justice Asante, Mr. Speaker, is a Court of Appeal justice. Before he got there, Mr. Speaker, he had previously served on the High Court bench. He also has previous experience as a circuit court judge and a district magistrate. And so if he's approved, Mr. Speaker, he would have sat as a judge in all the courts. This is ample evidence of the wealth of experience Justice Asante would bring to the Supreme Court bench. Aside the nomination to serve on the Supreme Court bench, Mr. Speaker, Justice Asante is the immediate past president of the ECOWAS Court, who has vast knowledge on international law and practice. In the course of the vetting, Mr. Speaker, a question was simply thrown at him to distinguish between international law and humanitarian law. And in responding to that particular question, Mr. Speaker, it became very clear that the man is very knowledgeable in international law and practice. His response was very simple. Humanitarian law, in his view, is the law of war. Yes. It's the law or the brand of law which regulates the conduct of law. Whether it's an internal war or a war between two states, there are principles that regulate the conduct of law, as opposed to the law that governs the relations of state and international organizations, such as the UN, African Union, ECOWAS, etc., etc. And then he said largely that body of law, one veritable source is treaties, multilateral treaties, as well as bilateral treaties. So Justice Asante is very knowledgeable. Again, when questions were thrown at him about the significance of decisions like to for an attorney general, he was very clear that that decision clearly established the principle of the supremacy of the Constitution, as opposed to parliamentary supremacy, which was one argument canvassed in that particular suit. So once again, Justice Asante demonstrated that when he is approved to serve on the Supreme Court bench, he would excel. I therefore urge colleague members to endorse the President's nomination of Justice Asante for the Supreme Court bench. Mr. Speaker, Anthony Forson Jr. is coming straight from the bar. Previously, he served as president of the Ghana Bar Association. His practice for so many years, close to 30 years experience as a private legal practitioner. He also demonstrated his mettle as a lawyer and established that when he is approved, definitely he's going to excel. One of the questions that was thrown at him, and he responded with excellence, Mr. Speaker, is when we asked him, members of the committee, to explain one common ground of appeal that lawyers would normally include in their grounds of appeal, such as the judgment is against the weight of evidence. Mr. Speaker, Anthony Forson Jr. established that that particular ground would normally relate to the totality of evidence that is put before the court, and when conclusions are arrived at with a due reference to the evidence, then you state as part of your grounds of appeal that the judgment is against the weight of evidence. To conclude on Anthony Forsim Jr., Mr. Speaker, he also had the occasion to explain what is meant by appeals amounting to a rehearing. I mean, he made all those distinctions. But, Mr. Speaker, there is agitation for me to conclude, so let me conclude with Justice Sophia Esa Benasco. Mr. Speaker, in relation to Justice Esa Benasco, the committee observed that she had previously been vetted. Unfortunately, the report which related to her vetting could not be taken due to circumstances beyond the control of this House at the time. So not too many questions were thrown at Justice Sophia Esa Benasco. But there was one question, simple question, that was thrown at her.
Honorable James Agalga. Our standing orders is very clear. Majority leader means a member of parliament designated by the majority caucus as their leader in the House. You have demonstrated enough that you have earned it. One thing you have to take on board is to be sensitive to the feeling of the House. If you don't, that will be taken away from you. You hear your members urging you on to conclude, and yet you are stretching their patience. By the time you realize, they've clawed back the designation. So I'm advising you, please, your last sentence, because I don't want you to lose that position.
Mr. Speaker, on that note, I take a cue and would conclude by urging colleagues to approve of the nominations of the 3 persons to serve on the Supreme Court bench. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, motion has been moved and seconded. It's now for the consideration of the House. I have the indication of, and you all heard him say, the minority leader said he was going to present a position of the minority on this matter. And so I'll grant him that opportunity, and then after that, I will plead with you to put the question. Yes, minority leader.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Yes, just a minute.
Thank you for the opportunity
minority leader
to contribute to the debate on the report of the House. Mr. Speaker, I am before this House to present the position.
Honorable members, please, minority leader, just a minute. Your colleague majority leader is on his feet. I just want to hear what he has to say. Yes, please.
Yeah, Mr. Mr. Speaker, I thought this was a simple contribution to a debate on the adoption of a report. That's what I thought it was. But why you want to go and then present it there is what I am surprised about.
It's a sessional address.
A motion has been moved that this House should adopt a report. You have decided to take the views of all your members and speak on behalf of your members. You have to stand there and speak on behalf of your members. I don't know why he wants to stand there and speak. So that's why I want direction from Mr. Speaker. Why he wants to speak from there. Because it's not a debate between he and I. Because I might not contribute. I might not say anything. So if the two of us were to address the House, he can go there and address, and I also go and address. But a motion has been moved to adopt a report, and he has appealed to you to allow him to speak on behalf of his entire side. He has to remain there and speak on behalf of his entire side. That is but Mr. Speaker, it's up to you. You can decide on that. And also, Mr. Speaker, we also have to agree on the time. We have to agree on the time. Because the indication was that even if we were going to have a full-blown debate on the motion, we would have agreed on how many speakers, and then would have allocated the time. So let's agree on the time, and also I think that he should just speak from his seat, and then we'll be done. When we are about to adjourn, and I would have left the seat, and the new majority leader would be here, they can start. So please, I plead with you. Let's stay there and then speak. And let's say 5 minutes. Is 5 minutes okay for you? 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutes. Mr. Speaker, 10 minutes is okay. Mr. Speaker, I'm trying to get his attention so that we can agree on the time, but he's deliberately refusing. He's deliberately refusing to engage.
So, Majority Leader, please, let's move on. As to where he should speak, either his original seat or at the privileged table office, I think in the circumstances, I'll indulge him to speak at the privileged seat for leaders of the House. As to the timing, I agree that there should be some time limit. I am taking into consideration the fact that it's quite late in the day. I also get a sense of the House that members want us to conclude proceedings today and also adjourn today, not tomorrow. I also acknowledge and have factored into my decision that he is speaking for and on behalf of the minority group. And so we cannot pin him to a few minutes like it's an individual. So we should give him enough minutes for him to be able to put across the position of the minority. In view of all what I have said, I propose that he takes 15 minutes. I'm happy you talked about press conferences, not submissions on the floor of the House. So please, you have within 15 minutes to make your submissions. Those submissions should not, as much as possible, be calling on people to respond. But as you indicated, you are putting across the position that you demonstrated at the committee hearing. And so that is not to raise fresh matters again. I also have more information that you don't have, because I'm privileged to be chairing and presiding over this House. And so please, let's listen to him in silence.
Mr. Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I know my colleagues don't have the numbers. I've indulged them, so they should also indulge me. Because if you want to go into the law, you may be found wanting. You tried whipping, you didn't get it, and I've decided to accommodate you. So please, don't push Mr. Speaker to limit me. You don't have the numbers, please. Mr. Speaker, as you can see from the committee's report, paragraph 12.2, the decision of the House is by majority decision, pursuant to Article 102-104 of the 1992 Constitution. Indeed, the minority did not support the approval for good reasons. On this occasion, Mr. Speaker, I take this opportunity to express the views of the minority and why we decided to oppose the whole process and to let the decision be by majority decision. Mr. Speaker, I would also want to table the verbatim report as certified by the clerk to the committee for the purpose of Hansard after my submission. Speaker, I begin with Lawrence Carter. He had this to say: truth be told, many people are afraid to take principled stance on some issues. They talk about their principles in theory, but do not back up much of their talk with action. Speaker, on these veritable words, and the minority also mindful of a truth by Dr. Martin Luther King, who spent his life teaching the world, quote, that a person, and indeed an institution, is measured not by where it stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but by where it stands in moments of challenge and controversy. Speaker, this House stands tonight at exactly such a moment. We rise during this debate not to relitigate a matter this House has already heard, but to place on permanent record what happened at the committee room a few hours ago and why the minority could no longer, in good conscience, remain part of it. Speaker, this House already knows the facts. 2 ministerial nominees and 3 nominees for appointment to as justices of the Supreme Court were referred to the appointment committee on Monday. This emergency recall closes today. That left the committee 3 working days to vet 5 nominees to 2 of most consequential classes of offices in this republic. The minority raised a preliminary objection before a single question was put to the 3 judicial nominees. That objection rested on 9 distinct grounds, each drawn from our constitution and our own standing orders. The chairman of the committee dismissed it. 2 reasons were given. We will come to both. When our objection was dismissed, the minority withdrew from that room. What this House is now asked to adopt is a report produced afterward by majority members alone. Mr. Speaker, we ask for your indulgence to set out the issues so that whoever reads the official report of these proceedings this year or in 100 years will know exactly what we argued and exactly why it was never lawfully answered. Speaker, our position is not about the nominees, and this House must not be permitted to pretend otherwise. Speaker, before we set out a single ground, let this House hear one thing said as plainly as language allows. Our objection, as I've already stated, has nothing whatsoever to do with the persons of Justice Sophia Benasco Issa, Justice Amwako Asante, or Mr. Anthony Forson Jr. We have not questioned, and we do not question today, the character, the competence, or the standing of any of the three nominees before this House. Our objection is, and has only ever been, a principled position founded on the Constitution of the Republic, on the standing orders of this House, and on the long and settled practice this Parliament has followed since the Fourth Republic began. To confuse an objection to a process with an objection to a person is either a misunderstanding of what we have said or a deliberate attempt to make a constitutional argument sound like a personal one. We will not allow either to stand unanswered. And Mr. Speaker, we need not even reach beyond this chamber to fortify that position. When you, the Right Honorable Speaker, rose to open this very recall, you did not ask this House for blind obedience to the recall that you granted. What you asked us, in your own words, quote, firmness of conviction without needless acrimony, disagreement without disrespect, and vigorous scrutiny without obstruction, end quote. That is precisely and only what the minority has offered this House today. Speaker, firmness of conviction, yes. Vigorous scrutiny, yes. Disrespect towards the chair or towards the nominees, never. If this House is honest with itself, it will recognize that our conduct has been exactly what the Speaker himself asked of every member sitting here. Now, Mr. Speaker, let me go through the grounds. Ground one, that there is no vacancy on the Supreme Court's bench. Every seat on that bench is filled. These three nominees are additions to 8 numbers, not replacement for anyone. Order 58(4) of our standing orders permit an emergency recall only where a genuine emergency exists. Where there is no vacancy, there is no emergency to fill. Ground 2, Order 21711 requires this committee to report within 3 days of concluding its work, not 3 days from the date of referral. Speaker, Order 2674 allows committee up to 3 months to report on a matter referred to it. 3 days was never the rule in this House as laid down. It was a choice made this week, and we, the minority, are not in support of that choice by the majority. Our ground 3, that Order 2172 requires the leadership of the relevant subject committee to join the appointment committee for every nominee considered, and Order 2173 caps the committee at 15 members. 3 judicial nominees and 2 ministerial nominees drawn from different subject areas entirely cannot be properly absorbed into one committee inside 3 days without breaking that cap or hollowing out the expertise those orders exist to bring into the room. Our next ground, that Order 21710 requires nominees' names to be published so the public and the bar can send in their views. For the avoidance of doubt, Mr. Speaker, let this House record plain fact of what happened here. There was no publication whatsoever in the dailies inviting memoranda on these 3 nominees. Not a late publication, not a rushed one, none at all. There's one safeguard our own rules give the ordinary citizen, the one door through which a lawyer, a professional body, or an ordinary Ghanaian could walk in and say something this committee needed to hear, was never even opened. That is not rule honored in form and defeated in substance. That is a rule ignored altogether. And this House should call it exactly what it is. Mr. Speaker, on this very point, ground 4, as I have argued, I am fortified on this ground with the position taken but by Honorable Kwame Abuja, Honorable Mahama Ayeriga, and Honorable Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen, who on the 30th of July 2024 stood firmly on such a position when they were in opposition. Mr. Speaker, ground 5, that order 3.1 permit this House to suspend a standing order, but only by a motion, only with the leave of the House, and only after reasons are stated openly before the suspension takes effect. Mr. Speaker, we contend that no such motion was ever moved in respect of orders 2172, 2173, 21710, 21711, 265, 266, or even 2674. Every one of those orders remain fully enforced throughout. Speaker, our next ground, that Article 1442 of the Constitution requires the advice of the Judicial Council and consultation with the Council of State before the President may nominate an ordinary justice of the Supreme Court. This committee never once confirmed on record that either step had taken place for any of the 3 nominations before it. Speaker, again, we argue that Article 296 of the Constitution requires discretionary power to be exercised fairly, candidly, and without arbitrariness. A timetable built only around finishing before this recall closed today, with no demonstrated emergency behind it, is discretion exercise to suit convenience, not discretion exercise fairly and for principle. Right Honorable Speaker, our next ground, we argue that again, when you recall this House, you told the House plainly that its decision was not and must not be read, your decision must not be read to read as a decision on merit of matters placed before the House, and that the duty to weigh those matters properly belongs to the House alone. Mr. Speaker, therefore, it's our submission that a committee that treats the fact of the recall as an excuse to rush ignores the very caution you gave this House, and this sin was committed by the majority. Speaker, our ground 9, that Article 146 of the Constitution makes a sitting justice of the Supreme Court almost impossible to remove, protecting save for stated misbehavior, incompetence, or infirmity, proved only after a long demanding inquiry. Therefore, a mistake in 4 days cannot be corrected in 3 days, cannot be corrected in 3 days. It may never be correctable at all. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, none of the questions we raised was answered. 2 reasons were offered for dismissing our application. We tend to vote now because this House deserves to hear precisely what went wrong with each. Now, Mr. Speaker, the first ground of dismissal, there was an argument by the chair that there was discrimination. Mr. Speaker, our answer to the argument. Speaker, the chairman told the minority that vetting only 2 ministerial nominees and not 3 judicial nominees on different timetables will be discriminatory because all 5 names arrived at the same day and were said to form one indivisible piece of recall business. Mr. Speaker, on this, we say this with full weight of legal principle behind us. Article 17 of our Constitution guarantees equality before the law. That guarantee has never meant that unlike things must be treated alike. It means precisely the opposite. Like cases must be treated alike, and unlike cases must be treated according to their own nature. To treat 2 genuinely different things identically is not equality. It is a category error dressed up as fairness. Speaker, again, here is this distinction this House must not lose sight of. Mr. Speaker, because it is not a technicality, we must pay attention to the detail. It is the whole of the matter. A minister of state holds office under Article 78(1), but serves entirely at the pleasure of the president. Under Article 81, the office becomes vacant the instant the president revokes the appointment for any reason he chooses. No hearing required, no enquiry needed. This House, too, may remove a minister directly under Article 82 by a vote of censure carried by 2/3 of all members. A flawed ministerial choice can be undone in an afternoon by the president alone, or within weeks by this House alone. A justice of the Supreme Court is a different creature entirely. Once approved under Article 1442 and sworn in, that justice is shielded by Article 146 from removal, save for stated misbehavior, incompetence, or infirmity, established only through an elaborate multi-stage process that few petitions have ever survived. There is no presidential pleasure to revoke here. There is no floor vote of censure available to this House. A floor judicial appointment does not last an afternoon, a few weeks. It lasts in every practical sense for the rest of a working life. Therefore, Mr. Speaker, that is not Mr. Speaker, if you may bear with me. Two grams.
Honorable members, I don't control the time allocation. It's done electronically. And so you have actually been timed out, which meant that you've spent 15 minutes. That is what you were given. Please, in view of the nature of the business in the House, I was compelled to call on the chairman of the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee to go and represent me at the function that is being organized by the NCCA. And so we will have to do everything and conclude this night and adjourn this night. So we have Minority Leader, please, you have to conclude, and then we'll go to the next item, which will deal with the leadership of the Majority Caucus. And I have a communication that I'll read in respect of that, and then we'll move on.
Mr. Speaker,
please.
not to bore you, I want to be as cooperative as possible. Can I then tender our written submission?
Yes,
Mr.
please.
Speaker, that said, then it's fair, no problem. Mr. Speaker, we are here to accommodate one another. It's fine. Mr. Speaker, therefore, not to belabor the point, on behalf of my colleagues, Mr. Speaker, I would want to read the concluding part of our written submission and therefore tender. Mr. Speaker, they don't have the numbers. If the backbench want to invoke law, we would also invoke law. You don't have your numbers, then we would invoke law. What is this? Yes, we invoke it. No problem. No problem. Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Majority Leader. Because of what you said, which is on record, I have to allow Majority Leader. Please, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I want to assure the Minority Leader that I can take a short suspension and get this whole chamber full. Assuming that we don't even have the numbers. If you have asked for time and the time has been allotted to you. You've exhausted the time, and you are throwing threats left and right. Please stop that. No, please stop that. We have an understanding. So when we have an understanding, stop doing the kind of things that you are doing. Please.
Yeah, honorable members, actually you have the numbers. I'm taking note of that. They have the numbers. So minority leader, just read your conclusion. Please, they have the numbers.
Not decide to frown on this last day to intimidate me. You can't intimidate me.
When you are talking about the House,
he has deliberately frowned his face
it's
to
different
intimidate
from when
me.
you are talking about majority. So please.
Mr. Speaker, our closing words, then we can tender. Mr. Speaker, honorable members, we did not walk out of the committee room lightly, and we did not withdraw our support from this floor lightly either. We do it because remaining would mean lending our names to a process we have shown on 9 separate and considered grounds to be unsound, defended by a charge of discrimination that collapses on contact with our own constitution, and by a theory of suspension that would hollow out every rule this House ever made. Long after today's business is forgotten, this official report will remain. It will show that when 3 seats on this nation's highest court were filled in 3 days with no vacancy to justify the haste, one side of this House, the minority of this chamber, stood up and said no, and meant it enough to walk away rather than lend it their name. We say it again now so that history never wonder where we stood. Speaker, Dr. King also taught us that, quote, the time is always right to do what is right, end quote. We could have waited for a quieter day to raise these 9 grounds. We chose not to because a quieter day was never going to come, and because the wrong being done here could not wait for our convenience any more than it could wait for these committees. And it taught us something sterner still, a warning this House should carry with it long after we have all left this chamber for the last time. Quote, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter, end quote. We were not prepared to let today be that day. Therefore, we commend this statement to the official report, and we oppose the adoption of this committee's report in its present form. Mr. Speaker, I thank you, and with your leave, I tender the written submission of the minority for Hansen to capture same, as though the entire submission was read in full. Mr. Speaker, also I table the verbatim report of the House as part of our submissions. Mr. Speaker, that said, let me thank you and thank colleagues for indulging me.
Honorable members, I proceed to put the question. Honorable members, those in favor of the adoption of the report of the committee, say aye. Those against, say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted. This Honorable House has accordingly approved the nomination of His Excellency, the President, of the following persons as Justices of the Supreme Court in accordance with Article 144, Clause 2 of the 1992 Constitution, respectively. They are Justice Edward Amwako Asante, Mr. Anthony Forson Jr. and Justice Sophia Rosetta Uduokwa Benasco Esa. Honorable members, I will, on behalf of the House, congratulate the nominees for the excellent performance at the public hearing of the committee. At least it was clear in the minds of all that the president was justified. And in fact, earlier on, the former president had also shown that the lady was fully qualified. It's just that this House did not have space to give approval to her nomination. Truly, when I read my statement here, I went through the whole process with members. And in fact, the nominees came late because it had to go through the Judicial Council, it has to go through the Council of State. They all went through the processes. And in fact, the Council of State submitted their recommendation to the President on the 20th of August. And the President communicated to the House on the 21st of August. And so all those procedural provisions were complied with, and I accordingly read it to the House when we had the emergency call. What is regrettable, honorable members, is the fact that the first item could not be made available to the House. And so any comment in regard to the first item is right and proper, because that was really the issue that prompted the recall as an emergency item. But since it's been recalled and there's cost to the state, we couldn't have just wasted all that for nothing. And that is why in my report on the first day, I called on members and mentioned those items for us to take it within the stated period in my recall notice. And that, to my understanding, was what was accepted by the House, and we proceeded along that line. And so since we completed with that, there is a call here, and I did consult the leadership of the minority, that there was one other item that came before you when I was at home attending to a conference, Ghana National Association of Private Schools, and also the AMQA conference, which is an international conference at Mervynpik. And that is the Association of Medical Councils of Africa. They had an international conference, and I had to address both conferences in Ho and in Accra. I managed to do both yesterday, and that is why I was not present in the House. The attention of the House was drawn to the fact that they had earlier on announced the names of the members of the Fiscal Council, and the House agreed to deal with that as a matter of urgency, because the law we passed requires us to give prior approval to those members before they are appointed and sworn in. And since the announcement, it was not communicated to the House, and the House could not do that. Since our attention was drawn, and this has been done, I'm told the report is here, and that is why I consulted our colleagues, the minority, through their leadership, whether we could just take that one as we did in the case of the deputy OSP. We did the same procedure to give prior approval to the deputy prosecutor, special prosecutor, and that was done. And so I want to at least plead with members for us to do the same for the members of the Fiscal Council. Then after that, we'll call it a day. This, I'm sure, the call of duty, you will not fail Ghanaians. So I will allow the chairman of the committee to present that to the House for us to give the nod. It's not something you can disagree with, because the members that I know are very qualified members to be members of the Fiscal Council of this country. As a result of that, I got the table office to prepare an order paper addendum. As I said, our colleagues, the minority, agreed to go with us in this matter. And therefore, I want us to present it to the House. It is item 1 on the order paper addendum. Presentation of papers. The following paper to be presented by the chairman of the committee.
Report of the Appointment Committee on His Excellency the President's nominations for appointment as members of the Fiscal Council.
Honorable members, the report is laid accordingly and is for distribution to all members of Parliament. Honorable members, I hope the report has been distributed. If so, we'll move to item 2. I can still see the report being distributed. Yes, I've been given the signal that available copies have been distributed, and so we can move to item 2 on the order paper addendum, which is a procedural motion to be moved by the chairman of the committee. Chairman, you may do so now.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to move the procedural motion numbered 2 on today's order paper. I so moved. Thank you for the opportunity.
Any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I second the motion.
Honorable members, motion moved and seconded. Being a procedural motion, I put the question. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. The motion is adopted. Item 3, motion, chairman of the committee.
Right Honorable Speaker, I rise to move that this Honorable House adopt the report of the Appointment Committee on the Excellency, the President's nomination for appointment as members of the Fiscal Council as follows. 1, Dr. Emmanuel Otin Kuma, Chairperson, Professor Patrick Opoku Asumeni, representative from Three, Leslie Dwight Mensa Academia, a research think tank, and J. Kweku Bedu Ado, a former public policy expert from the Ministry of Finance. 5, Dr. Henry Akpenamawu Kofi Wampa, a former public policy expert from the Board of Ghana. He is also a former governor of Bank of Ghana. Right Honorable Speaker, in doing so, I present your committee's report and urge the Hansard Department to capture the entire report as having been read, whilst I take the conclusion Right Honorable Speaker, at the conclusion, the committee recommend to the House by the members present, majority of the members present and voting for the approval of His Excellency the President's nominees as mentioned. I so submit.
Honorable members, any seconder?
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the motion, and in doing so, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to state that all 5 nominees are very competent and qualified. First, Emmanuel Otenkuma is an economist. Professor Patrick Opoku Asuming is from academia and also an economist. All the representatives, the nominees, including Dr. Henry Kofi Wampa, a former governor of the Bank of Ghana, clearly have the expertise to serve in the capacity as members of the Fiscal Council. In those circumstances, I pray that this House approves of the nominations. Thank you very much.
Honorable members, definitely, he has taken strong clue as to what is happening in the House. So I put the question. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Honorable members, the ayes have it. The House has accordingly approved the nominations of the members as itemized on the report of the committee and captured at page 1 and 2 of the order paper addendum. I will proceed to, on your behalf, congratulate them for their appointments to the council, but draw their attention to the fact that it's a men's club. And as a gender advocate, I strongly urge them in their deliberations to always have some consultation with our gender partners. It's very important. They have a lot of perspectives that we can benefit from. It should not be men-only club. The Fiscal Council is for both men and women. So this is coming from the Speaker of Parliament and not any partisan position. With this, I want to thank members for the indulgence, for your tolerance, for your endurance for us to get this far. I will now Honorable members, the principal advisor to the clerk is drawing my attention to one other business, but I think we'll be abusing the indulgence of members. And so I agree that this is not part of the business that we are to conduct, and I veto the House taking this business now. We will be doing so when we reconsume for normal business. I won't mention the item, but I know there's a need for the House to support the executive in this one, but I don't see this as urgent business to be taken within this period. So please, members may convey these sentiments, and I think that's the sentiments of the House. You don't set precedents that you want to follow in future. With this, I proceed to communicate to the House. You will recall I raised the issue of how our standing orders have captured, which we are to comply with, as to how the majority leader is to be designated by the majority caucus. And that communication should be from the party, because the process should involve the party and the caucus being the parliamentary wing of the party. And so we have a communication which I think came earlier on, but only got to my office today. And the stamp can show that today, 27th, is when it was received by my office. And it's signed by the General Secretary of the National Democratic Congress. And it's dated 24th August, 2026, titled Notification of the Appointment of Honorable James Agalga, MP for Bolsa North, as Majority Leader. I write on behalf of the leadership of the National Democratic Congress, NDC, to formally inform you that following consultations between the leadership of the party and the presidency, Honorable James Agalga, Member of Parliament for Bolsa North constituency, has been appointed as the new majority leader of the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. The appointment takes effect immediately and is intended to provide the necessary leadership and coordination for the NDC Majority Caucus in Parliament as it continues to discharge its constitutional and parliamentary responsibilities. The NDC leadership is confident that with the cooperation of the Right Honourable Speaker and all members of Parliament, Honourable James Agalga will provide the leadership necessary to advance the work of Parliament in the supreme interest of the Republic. Please accept, Right Honourable Speaker, the assurances of my highest consideration. Yours faithfully, Honourable Fifi Fiavi Kwete, General Secretary, signed. Honourable members, this is the communication from the party, and we will now put it to the majority caucus as to whether they are going to accept and designate, because the consultation is not, the practice is that it's not done by voting. You have done that one at your caucus level. It's the sitting leader who communicates the decision of the caucus to the House. And then after that, they do the swapping. So please, Majority Leader, let us hear what the position is. You are also privileged to use the dispatch box.
Right Honorable Speaker, on the 23rd of January 2025, the General Secretary of our party sent a communication to your good self, which was read to this House, announcing me as the new Majority Leader and Leader of Government Business of the government of President John Dramani Mahama. It was for me a great opportunity to be made leader of this House. Today, another communication has come announcing my brother and colleague, Honorable James Agalga, Member of Parliament for Bulster North, as the new Majority Leader and Leader of Government Business. Mr. Speaker, I have no doubt that Honorable James Agalga is worthy of the leadership of the Majority Caucus and this House, having been here for a while and having chaired a number of committees, ranked for a number of committees, served as a deputy minister, and in the process, he has demonstrated competence, ability, and I have no doubt that he will do well and excel as a leader. I urge this House to give Honorable James Agalga all the support that he needs to succeed. Mr. Speaker, since assuming the responsibility of leadership, I have done what I can to ensure that every business of government that has been presented to us has been executed with as much minimal friction as possible. Mr. Speaker, in the process, I've enjoyed enormous support from colleagues, both from the majority side and indeed the minority side. We have disagreed on a number of occasions, but we also have agreed on so many occasions. The disagreements mark the very essence of democracy. This House has become the heartbeat of our democracy as a result of something that you, Mr. Speaker, and I collaborated to achieve, which is the expeditious establishment of Parliament TV. This has taken Parliament to the halls and offices of almost every Ghanaian, and they now view and participate in our proceedings, and this has indeed deepened democratic culture, even within the very short time that this medium has been in existence. What I can say is that democracy will continue to depend on this very House. And I urge colleagues to take the assignment of deepening democracy very seriously. I am leaving as Majority Leader, but I'm not leaving as Member of Parliament. I will still remain a Member of Parliament, a member of the Majority Caucus, and I believe that I will always be here to support and guide the new leader and to support the entire House to achieve its objectives. I am going to the Ministry of Local Government Chieftaincy and Religious Affairs. I want to thank this House for giving the prior approval needed under our Constitution for anyone to be appointed a minister by the President. I believe that the local governance of this country needs a lot of boosting. And my experience in this House, my relationship with many of you, and the many other jobs that I've done in governance put me in a good stead to go and deliver at the Ministry of Local Government, Chieftaincy, and Religious Affairs. I want to assure you that at that ministry, I will ensure that the interest of honorable members of Parliament is seriously protected and upheld. I am sure that Ghanaians have come to accept democracy and to accept parliamentary democracy. A number of reforms are being programmed for this House to consider when we begin to work on the various constitutional amendments that will be coming to us. And this House will be in a position to consider and debate them. And so that will be a major task that we should pay attention to. I will definitely miss my friend, the minority leader. I will definitely miss you and the engagements that we have been having in this chamber. But I'll be here, I won't go far away, because I know what you will do if I go far away. So I'll be very, very close. Mr. Speaker, your presence as Speaker has made my job as leader very easy. Sometimes I can come and sit here and not say much because the Parliament is almost on autopilot when you are sitting in the chair. Your many years of experience as a minority leader, as a majority leader, as minister at several ministries, and as the longest standing member of Parliament that is still in the House, has given you such a wealth of knowledge of what this House should be doing and what this House should become. And you have worked diligently and you have transformed this House in a way that has made leading it very, very easy. And I want to highly commend you and assure you of my most sincere appreciation. Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank my colleague leaders with whom I started the job at the beginning of last year with this new Parliament. And I can say that if I have been successful, it is largely because of the cooperation and support that I have received from my deputy leader, from my chief whip, from my first deputy chief whip, and from my second deputy chief whip. I also want to thank the backbenchers who have solidly stood behind me, solidly behind me. I understand your anxiety when it was announced that I will be leaving the seat. But I want to assure you that where I'm going to, your interests will be protected better than me sitting here. So, Mr. Speaker, on that note, let me also thank the clerk and the table office team, the parliamentary service, the media, the press corps, my friends on the minority side, who on several occasions have really invested time and energy to help us, consider and approve all the bills that I have supervised the passage in this House. I believe that my successor will do an even much better job with your support. So I therefore urge all of us to support the new leader so that he can also deliver. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, honorable members, you've heard the majority leader. It's proper we give opportunity to the minority leader to say a word. You are permitted to swap places because you've done the hugging and the rest. So that yes, honorable members, may we now listen to the minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, these are very rare moments. The House is not often given such opportunity for a change in baton because leaders often stay longer to enable them discharge their duties. Mr. Speaker, I said the first time the announcement came that I've known Honorable Ayerga. We became close at the ECOWAS Parliament. He assisted me greatly, and the friendship was not about party interests. He assumed the chair as a leader of the House, and we worked in that same spirit. I pledged to myself that no matter what, I will honor his good name. And by the grace of God, he leaves the seat today with that honor still intact, and it shall remain. I respect him for his own forthrightness and a man who does not hide his feelings. Hardly would you get people like that. You work with somebody, you work with a person, and the person hides all his cards. It's difficult. But Mahama will tell you that, Alex, I'm not happy with you today. And it is what it is. So I'll miss our friendship, this direct relationship. But I know that at the ministry is another opportunity to serve your nation. James, we came together. Today, all four of you here, at least Ricketts and our mother Doyo, and then Achampon, four of them, we all came in 2013, very young and inexperienced. With time, we've learned the parliamentary practice. Patience and industry has elevated you to this high office, leader of the House. I've been there before. It's a very hot seat. You can at times be lonely It's a lonely life. You would have to endure when everybody else says otherwise. You know the truth, but you can't speak the truth. However, the man up there, seated in the east of this honorable house, oftentimes when I feel lonely, I say to myself, but he survived. Today I went to Honorable Che Mensah to get some wisdom, because in such critical times, he was in 23 years in leadership, chief whip, deputy leader, 8 years minority leader, 7 years, 4 months as majority leader. So I have to go to him. I go to Papa Wusankoma. I go to Kumbo. I reach out to them to listen, because it's not easy. So James, you can't rely on your strength. You can't make it. Haruna once said, compromise is no weakness. I go to him a lot. When I'm in difficult times, I say, Babaru, how did you do it? It's not easy. But you can find in me a good friend. You see, James, those who have not gone through the process of being leaders will not understand what I'm saying. They have not been part of our club. They are not part of it. So when we are talking about friendship, their interpretation is different. But you will soon be introduced to the code of leadership. And I'm saying that you can find in me a friend. My job is not to obstruct you. My job is to offer a different lens to things you may not see. So don't be worried at all. I can promise you a well-researched dossier for all my debates. That I can promise you. So, in any event, Mr. Speaker, my job really is to turn this minority into majority. That really is my job. But please, James, as you come, don't attempt to infiltrate my back. A lot of people are causing turbulence all over the place. Please don't join that group. I have told some people that it will be difficult for them to go to heaven because of what they've been doing at my backyard. Mr. Speaker, that's on a lighter note. So, my respected colleague, you are 1 year my senior at the bar. That will never be lost on me. Yeah, he was 2 years ahead of us. Oh, James, I'm sorry. Apologize. Sorry. Yes. You were a few years ahead of us. Yes, that's correct. Well, Mr. Speaker, some are still law students. They should know that, Mr. Speaker. I still, at least, I've done 17 years at the bar. Yes. Besides, you and I are Supreme Court practitioners. We were active in practice. And we've made our name at the bar. That is not without doubt. Yes. So, Mr. Speaker, Honorable Agaga, all of us respect your industry. The way you've conducted yourself in this house, nobody doubts your competence. But I can conclude by saying that carry your backbench along. Find time for them. Don't be too busy. Listen to their problems. Sometimes one difficulty in being in government side in this chamber is that you come, the ministers may not even have time for you. So you are the majority leader. You must go and knock at doors and help them. Otherwise, you will be looking for them. They won't come. The whip will whip. They won't be whipped. So, James, welcome to the hot seat. Other matters will be discussed in closed doors. Congratulations on behalf of the minority. I say congratulations again. Have our support, and may God, whom you rely upon in times of difficulty and danger, aid you. Thank you very much. Mr. Speaker, thank you very much.
Honorable members, at least let's listen to the latest majority leader of the House. Please allow the majority leader to have his say. Please, you opted to speak from your seat. The other time when you requested to be at the dispatch box, I gave you the opportunity. So please, you may go on.
Right Honorable Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity. With utmost humility, Mr. Speaker, I'd like to express profound gratitude to His Excellency, the President, the entire leadership of my party, the great National Democratic Congress. The NDC caucus in Parliament, which until now was ably led by the Honorable Mahama Ayaraga, and of course, the minority bench, led by Honorable Afinyu Makin, for the confidence reposed in me to serve in the office of Majority Leader. Mr. Speaker, like I said, I accept this responsibility with utmost humility. First of all, Mr. Speaker, this is a learning curve for me, and I would want to assure my colleagues that I would imbibe from the wisdom of Mr. Speaker in the conduct of business in this House. Because like Honorable Mahama Ayaraga stated, we are blessed to have in our presence Right Honorable Speaker Bagbin, who has seen it all. Mr. Speaker, you've served as minority leader before, you've served as majority leader before, and by the grace of God today, you are the Speaker of the Parliament of Ghana. I shall continue to tap from your vast experience and wisdom in leading this august House. Again, Honorable Mahama Yarga, you'll be leaving this house as leader, but you have assured me that your continuous presence in this house will not be missed. And so I shall continue to rely on you for support and guidance. I would also want to assure my colleague leaders on the front bench of the majority caucus that you have been at it for quite some time, and so I will learn from you with humility. But in doing so, I shall be spirited in providing the leadership that is most desirous in ensuring that government business thrives in this house. In addition to that, Mr. Speaker, I'd want to assure Honorable Afenyo Markin and the entire minority bench that my approach in this house would hinge first on consensus building. I mean, we can make compromises as and when necessary. And I assure you, I'll give it to you. I would reach out, I would consult, but at the same time, I would work to ensure that the reset agenda of our president is accomplished for the betterment of all of us. Mr. Speaker, I would like to assure the parliamentary service, the clerk and his team, that I will cooperate with them as the new majority leader in terms of advancing the cause of parliamentary democracy. Again, I will rely on them heavily for support in terms of research in matters that border on administration of the House in general. So, Mr. Jetro, you were my mate at the law faculty and law school. Luckily for me, you are clerk. And so I would count on your support, you and your able lieutenants. Mr. Speaker, on this note, I'd want to thank you profusely for the guidance and support that you have extended to my side of the House and the minority side of the House. We shall continue to rely on you for support in very difficult moments, Mr. Speaker. Your wisdom and experience is what has kept this House together. That kind of cohesion you have managed to foster in this House is very commendable, and I would learn under your feet to ensure that we continue to foster unity in the delivery of the mandate of this House as the legislative arm of government. Let me also thank the Parliamentary Press Corps for all the work you have been doing over the period, and to assure you that you would become worthy partners as I assume the mantle of leadership in this House. You can count on me, and I would also count on your support to succeed. I thank you all for the kind attention. Thank you. God bless us, and God bless our homeland, Ghana.
Honorable members, let me, on behalf of Parliament, also warmly welcome the new majority leader and to assure him that everything will be done to ensure that he succeeds. What we do is to build on what we've met. And every leader looks to see the successor do better than what he or she has done. And that will be our prayer. Because as I sit here, I see that we've gone far as a parliament since 1993. I've gone through the motions. One of the things we don't usually add is the fact that I was our second deputy speaker for 4 years. And that experience also gave me a lot of insight into how to be in the minority. It's not only as minority leader. You know that position is reserved, second deputy speaker is usually reserved for the minority. And so sometimes it's a joy to me to see people at least, I also made inputs into to reach this height and to have actually done better than what I did when I occupied those positions. The former majority leader, Honorable Mahama Ayarga, used to drive me in the night. We navigated all the corridors of this country, campaigning as minority leaders. The same for Haruna and the rest. Here they are following my footsteps and doing better than what I did. And that is what development is about. And so this house has really grown. How I used to pick the minority leader from his office and shepherd him to the then majority leader, Honorable Oseche Mensah-Bonsu. He knows how we manage to build leadership. And so I'm more than satisfied. I don't need money. The joy I get from seeing people that at least you contributed in bringing up function better than you. That is what we are looking for. My first deputy met me in practice. These young ones who are now your leaders did not meet me in practice. I was already here when they were called to the bar. In fact, yesterday somebody made me feel so sad. I didn't know I was that old. Because when I said I was called to the bar in 1982, he said he wasn't yet born. Those days, practice was good. And many of these judges you are approving today were some of them who came after me, and really, I recall Anthony Forson Jr., who really followed me for some time as a good friend, and we supported him to become president of the bar. So it's good to know that Ghana is moving forward, and we should all be inspired. So sometimes I create this opportunity for you to have this dialogue, for us to build the culture, the democratic culture that we are all yearning for, so that you can get the social capital to be able as leaders to implement your vision. If you don't get the people to go with you, and they always see that you are at each other's throats, you are fighting, it worsens down there. But when they sit and listen to you and watch you speak in very decent, decorous, and dignifying language, it inspires so many of the young ones to try to do better than you. So sometimes don't think that we are wasting too much time. It's creating a lot of value for our country. And so I want to thank all of you and encourage you to let us go along this path. And I'm happy the new majority leader is talking about consensus building. That is why we try to build every morning at my lobby before we come to commence proceedings. Consensus building. And where we disagree, we agree as to how to disagree on the floor. So all these things are always done before we come up. Please, today, there are a lot of assurances and double assurances. So, Assurance Committee, kindly take note for follow-up actions. Our majority leader, outgoing majority leader, has given us promises. Kindly note it. And we will follow up on that matter. But congratulations to all of you. I'm sure Ghanaians are seeing the value of their investment, and we pray that the good Lord will see us through successfully. I thank all of you once again for your patience, your endurance, and your commitment to duty. That is why the people elected us. With this, I proceed to adjourn the House. And I'm going to do so by adjourning the House sine die. I invite all of you to Kumasi, where we are going to have the Democracy Cup match between Ashanti Kotoko and Accra Hearts of Oak. Our ladies had their match. Parliament will be facing not the judiciary this time, but the executive. And our team has been preparing for some days now. I've been watching them training everywhere. Please, if you are not part of those who go for the training, don't go and impose yourself. We already have our 11. Some of you come there and all of a sudden you jump in and say you want to play. You walk for 1 hour without touching the ball. Please, it's good that we've adjourned today because tomorrow we are moving to Kumasi. And I want to thank all of you for what you have done. God bless our homeland, Ghana. The House is accordingly adjourned sine die.